Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Daily Astrology with me, Chloe, your astrological guide to empowerment and to gaining agency in your life. So, I want to take things back to Mercury Day. Like this week has flown by, and of course it would do that. Like time kind of dissolved on Mercury Day for me. I don't know how that felt for you all. We actually had Mercury at 20 degrees Gemini, so this would speak to the waxing on, waxing off. And on this Jupiter day, Mercury has jumped to the vortex of 22 degrees Gemini. So let's start with the inside degree for the sun and then go to where Mercury is because our mind is going to be opening to where our heart is leading us at this time. So Gemini, 22 degrees and 23 degrees. A tunnel created by trees, intervention by your own greater self within the patterns of the personal story. A vision is granted, a way is shown, yet to follow it will mean many shatterings. Boom! It's like tower moments by this collateral 4 degrees with Jupiter at 4 degrees Gemini, Mercury netting to a 4 at 22 degrees Gemini, and then we have Chiron at 22 degrees Gemini. So our socials, like the ways that we held ourselves and carried ourselves socially, are completely getting an upheaval. And it's feeling like this, not regurgitation, but it's like this processing of exiting with like things that we don't need, toxic ways of relating, toxic ways of being with ourselves, the thought patterns that would make us feel a bit disillusioned and delusional as to what our community needs from us, what we need to give to our community, and how our dreams can come through by various offerings, by various questioning the narratives we have running. So for instance, I've been like withholding my energy from different social groups and just feeling like this echo chamber of projections for so long. But in opening my heart with Venus ahead of the sun, and then the sun being the heart. So it's like what we get confidence from and value, and then what our heart is ready to receive. And then our thoughts following very closely behind the sun, and allowing for us to re-engage different parts of ourselves, to access different parts of who we are authentically in new ways. And then Jupiter expanding all of that to be like, how big can this get? If you were in the right part of your mind, which is being fed from the heart, how far are you ready to go with these very needed facets of your being, very essential qualities of your character that might have been misunderstood for a while? It might not have gotten the appreciation deserved for a while. And now we're coming to see, we're not losing the tree to the forest. Rather, we appreciate all of it as a unified field. A cosmic future realm, uncompromising and magnificent, vibrant and cocky, the power of the crown, the truth that takes you by surprise. So much is opening. All you need is to be there and ask. The explained I aim directly at you and drawing you through. So let's take a look at what the angels have to say about this. Whoa, 7 of fire and then the wheel. So we might have had a lot of like perceived pots on the stove, but I feel like it's not boiling over. It's coming to a distillation. One chef who I worked with in New York, in Brooklyn specifically, she called it breaking the soup. Whenever you would put something like coconut and like vegetable stock together, and they would come together to form one broth. And the wheel speaks to that being now really tasty. Like people smell the aroma and they're looking for you. Like, and this is something you can have Archangel Michael guide you to the right connections and establish the right boundaries to where you feel reciprocity in what you're giving and how you're showing up. And people aren't just like leaving you questioning if you made a positive impact on them. They're giving you feedback. They're giving you commentary. The right people are starting to look at your Instagram stories, people who you have such a deep, heartfelt connection with, and they see you in ways that are very life affirming right now. So we have Mercury at 22 degrees. A young girl is sold to a sultan. And this, it recalls a time where I was at the Waldorf School reading the Arabian Nights to the 4th grade, and this kind of came up in a story. Cutting deals, shuffling the personal deck, being willing to cut out this part and amplify that part of self as the occasion demands. So this would be like kind of like I think we're coming out of a need to cut ourselves down or hold ourselves back. Rather, we know our audience and we know who we want to be. Taking things as they are and adapting accordingly, especially prone to neglecting, forsaking, denying for extended cycles, huge chunks of yourself. Yeah, that's what Mercury Day did, is it shifted us out of that lock, out of that holding pattern that would feel really restrictive, and we would feel like blockages in our throat chakra. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I have different Qigong exercises meant to specifically help with the current placement of the moon in the fourth house to the sun in Gemini. So it's like the area above the knee, 4 fingers down, and just activating these pressure points like throughout your day whenever you're finding like tough emotions surfacing, whether you're finding yourself in that projection echo chamber or you can't see past the other, like you still have someone outside of you that you're like, confounded goon, like this person is driving me crazy. And what you'll come to find is like, okay, well, how am I showing up? How is my energy not either giving clear boundaries energetically, or how do I come into this sense of authority within myself to say, yeah, I know I have this going on. I have that going on. I'm hangry. I need to have a break. I need to relax. I've been working too hard. And maybe the person on the outer, like yesterday, I had some road rage, sorry, Mercury and Gemini. But there was a car that like got on me, and then I just slowed down. I was like, hit me. I dare you. And I have black tourmaline in my car. I pray every time I drive. But I was like, if this person is in a work truck and they want to do something like that, they're going to be the ones who are at fault. And what ended up happening is the person angrily swerved around me. And then I was like, oh, okay, so what is this showing me? I'm hungry. I had done an installation for like almost 4 hours with like 2 protein bars in my system, and that was it. And I am a pretty light eater, but it's something to where it's like, I was overworking myself, and this person likely needed to get up to up country to get to another job. And they were also hangry. So it's like we were law of attracting each other, only to show each other what I did, to slow down, let them choose how they want to behave, but to leave me be, to let me do what I need to do for myself. And then I was able to process even further. Okay, so it doesn't serve me to go so fast to try and like keep up with other people. I need to know what I need. So then I got an extension. I get to have a day to just settle. Even though we all have been praying for life to get better, I feel like it's all coming up now that we're not rejecting ourselves, now that we're seeing past the illusion of other. With the South Node in Libra, we're flushing out the ways of being like delusional and hoping for the best. And we're coming into an authority with ourselves to say, you know, I've done this work. Like today, I just shared my updates on LinkedIn of being an astrologer, being a psychic, being a shaman, being an intuitive. And then I wrote a post that I also shared on my community page on YouTube, to where it's like, I have all of these things that I've got distilled, and no, they're not boiling over. They're converging. All right. Seeking the optimal combination to be able to do what you want to do and achieve the results you have in mind. Streamlining all self-presentation, even to yourself, to make it look good and easy and manageable. Caught in the ego mind in 1,000 distorted reflections, you are able to rationalize or justify even a total sellout, but essentially smart, capable, and on top of things. Just intricately familiar with the ropes and rapidly convinced you might not be caught. You must not be caught short or marginalized. And you can emphasize and insist upon whatever angle of selfhood will prove helpful and productive to the ego mind in its multiple ongoing transactions. So I would say this. If you are out of integrity, you will be signing up for transactional encounters. But if you are honoring your heart, dissolving that sense of other to find the truth, the heart of the situation, whether for me, I offered to give a workshop to a group of people who I know may not like me on Sunday, but it's like, that's where my heart belongs. And then it also belongs, we got a very cool Victory of Mariam, netting to a 5, speaking to, I believe, Venus at 25 degrees Gemini, but it's like, I know who I am and who I'm not. And the wheel is saying that once you claim this, you will come into an agreement with yourself and thus the world. So what I did was I almost didn't want to sign up and go because, you know, my husband's got it covered. I definitely need and a butterfly just flew by outside. I need the social interactions, but also I would like to network. So this is giving me an opportunity to give of myself and not just give money, go feel salty and bitter and judgmental towards everyone else presenting, but to really step up, offer my services, offer my skills. And then now I can see how this also belongs in the community on a regular recurring event. And I'm not sure if I'll offer it online anytime soon, but I might offer it as a one-on-one thing to get people comfortable with drawing. I've been studying drawing since technically the age of 8. Like that was the first time I took a class in a public setting. And I had to constantly come up against this inner voice that was saying, my work isn't good enough. I'm not doing enough. Like something's off. But as I look back through my portfolio, just mentally scanning it, I see how amazing my work has always been consistently. So it's a past life gift brought into this life to help people with ways of seeing. And one example that I'm going to share this weekend is that pole dance, which is what the retreat is the same thing as drawing, just as it's the same thing as driving or rollerblading or any sort of modality that allows for you to combine your mind, flow state, and a physical object. So with drawing, just a tip, there is not a single line in existence. Like even if you get down to a tree, you see the bark has its own patterns. If you get it under a microscope, even more so. So I would like to look at Venus and then go into Venus Day with this energy of just understanding that, like if ever you've put on lipstick or if ever you've tied a tie, whether your gender is either or, you know that there's a pattern that has to follow, and then there are naturally folds in the skin, in the eyes even, that don't lend to a heavy hand. So what we have to do, this is the one time where I will say get sketchy, is allow for our gesture, which is the movement of the hand and the pencil or the brush. And even sometimes I like to use finger paints. Like I have gloves on sometimes with oil, and I will finger paint on most of my paintings. That's like one of my I wouldn't say secrets, but like recipes for success. So Venus at 25 degrees Gemini. A cave in deep ocean waters. Oh, this is my part of fortune, y'all. If you don't know your part of fortune, go to astro.com, and it's a part of the like bottom area for when you go to pull a chart, and you can see where your part of fortune is. And what astrologer and teacher Robbie Hunt has said is that lots are actually more beneficial for knowing like mundane astrology, for when to buy a car or for when to sign up for a class or when to not purchase a car. Stunning ways to preserve lost knowledge and lost worlds. The treasure chest is full to bursting, a leavening agent, so letting it rise. A corrective to shallow patterns of existence. You are able to be so multidimensional that vastly divergent realities can be lived simultaneously. So that's where that 22 is coming in. Like we're getting confidence from, I would say, like waxing on, waxing off, knowing what qualities need more leavening agent and which ones can like be put back into the cosmic blender to be lent to another energy. So specific example, this would be me and framing my work in a traditional way. Behind me, there's a painting that's on wood panel, and then this fruit painting is on a traditionally stretched canvas. Me, I don't like, you see this cat painting, I don't like stretching my canvases. You see the one of my friend who's a Sagittarius sun, I put magnets on those shelves. Like that's how it's hanging on the wall. And the painting of Yogananda here, it's on a traditionally stretched canvas. So rather than for me to stretch works that are going to be in my solo exhibition, I decided to create some support on the back and then to use found and claimed wood to create a nest. And this is something that I've gotten 2 critiques from very prestigious artists, along with an art collective that I'm doing a year-long mentorship intensive with. So I have the support needed to say, no, I don't really need to go about it in a way that feels restrictive anymore. Yes, I have painted on canvases I got from Walmart, thank God for Walmart, and then was able to say, these will be for this assignment that my instructor gave me. But I still want to do things in the way that feels most authentic and calls to me the most. And then fortunately, this weekend upcoming, there will only be a roll of canvas. So it speaks more to my authentic approach to things rather than a need to pose and be like, look, I can do this. I'm a robot. Like we have enough artificial intelligence to support that. But what we need is to become so human that we're irreplaceable, that our cognition exceeds any capacity to replicate and exceed human consciousness. My rant. A corrective to shallow patterns of existence. You are able to be so multidimensional that vastly divergent realities can be lived simultaneously and often are. Care and effort stand behind this place over myriad lifetimes, contains boundless, intact awareness held for the future. A contact point underneath conscious awareness, faithful to the cause, integrity above all. From nothing to everything. Boom, baby. We love it. And this does look like a pyramid, Venus, and a swirling cosmic ocean. So let's read what the Victory of Mariam has to say from the Rumi Oracle deck. That's 41. Joke for anyone who needs lottery numbers, just see what happens when you use these cards. You can't win the lottery unless you buy a ticket, right? Okay. Victory of Mariam. If you are longing to caress the moon, don't turn away from it. If you are not ill, why do you crawl under a blanket to hide? You are an aquarium of sweets. Why do you look so sour? You live in the spring of life. Why are you withered inside? Don't fight against yourself. Don't flee from what could be your glory. Whoa. Whoa, Mariam. Like a fearless moth, dive into the flame. Why be linked to your obsessions? Burn out in flames until your heart and soul are enlightened. Get out of the old carcass and form yourself a new body. Why are you afraid of a fox when you descend from lions? Why be a lame ass or donkey when you have the strength of stallions? The beloved you seek will arrive to open the door to your fortune. Part of fortune, hello. For love is the key that opens all your locks. You feel you are immortal, and I know you are divine. You feel you are not ready for the task, and I know that triumph is only moments away. You reach to me for protection, but you are me, and the protection that you seek is already with you. We are not apart. I am living through all that you are and all that you love, all that you have lost, and all that you offer to me in surrender. I am in you as your courage and magnificence, and any task I send to you is simply one of the tasks for which you were born. You are an eagle with wings ready to soar. So I push you from the cliff top that you may know yourself. This oracle brings a message of affirmation and success. Your victory is already assured. So that's one affirmation that I've been saying, is that success is here, the check is incoming. And just yesterday, I came across someone who wants to purchase a reading. And while recently I gave like a initial consultation call, it's like seeing beyond that is like sometimes people just need assurance that they are on the right path. And that's something I'm happy to lend in service, because the ways that we show up in the world, if we are in integrity, come back to honor us tenfold. When we're out of integrity, doing service for others to approve of us, that's when we get the hurt. That's when we end up, that's when we end up feeling used or even bitter, because it's like, as a projector, waiting for the right invitations is something that is essential. So if you don't know your human design, find an online calculator, and then just knowing the basics and then following gene keys. This week, we're moving from the city of, I think, dominance and control to communication, and look to see where in your life communication has opened up, because with Chiron in the 11th house to the sun and Black Moon Lilith in the 4th house to the sun, we have a social interaction that's been building and needs to come to a healing. So it could be someone who's in your community, someone who actually for me, someone who can end up benefiting you like monetarily in a way that's like, this is the seed over the course of this weekend and into Venus Day. That's my next step, is seeing about Venus Day. Seeing where you have maybe even downplayed your gifts, downplayed your skills, downplayed your abilities, and it's time for you to take back that honor, take back the wheel of your life, to not get fed into other people's stories and agendas for you, but to really claim your gifts. So let's say you're really good at gardening. You need to be devout. You need to have passion. You need to understand the good that can come from it. Even if it's like you just inspire a child, that child will end up inspiring millions of people, especially these kids who are being born. So like with my kids, I do my best to just be honest with them, to treat them like people. And here's this arrow. The first arrow hits. I was listening to a Buddhist monk speak today, thanks to one of my soul sisters sharing on her Instagram story. And he said that feeling those feelings, feeling that arrow that hits, I don't know if you hear this, but hey, and allowing for it to just exist as something. Yes, yes, yes. Let the kids see you fail. And then I've been able to apologize to my kids for when I was wrong. And what that teaches them is that adults who have respect for them will show up in those ways. But adults who do not respect them, they need to be aware of and to have the right boundaries around. So let's see. Because, of course, I grew up in a very indoctrinated system of Christianity, and it just made me feel like I was to be seen and not heard, or heard and not seen and not heard, and that took away from this passion, this commitment to allowing for my feelings to actually permeate beneath this external armor, which makes us less than human, because if we aren't feeling our feelings, we aren't able to acknowledge what feels good and what doesn't. We just kind of hold everything in one place, and then it gets to be too heavy. And I actually also have shared some Qigong movements. So like this is for posture. You want to essentially press your chin down to your chest and then have your hands on the back of your neck, but keep your spine straight. And it's something that is going to allow for us to lead with the heart into Venus Day. Venus will move to 27 degrees Gemini. The Sun and Mercury will be unified at 24 degrees Gemini. So let's read for that. A nude man with a tail. Okay. Instincts fill the screen of awareness with instantaneous reverberations. You are ready to pick up on whatever comes through magnificently. The skill, the virtuosity is dazzling. Nothing is impossible. There is a space open for worlds to connect, flooded with impressions, ecstatic with what you can do, spilling over into infinity, showing what we all can do and insisting that it is simple. The greatest of gifts, freely manifesting, no strings attached. The future opens and the light streams through. The body knows, direct sensing, multidimensional, and straight on. So I have a feeling that there's going to be a deep release, allowing on this Jupiter day, allowing for us to receive what's coming through. Uranus is at 24 degrees, Taurus in the 12th house to Gemini. So spiritually, a lot of insights that will allow for us to wax off and wax on will come into the fore. We're going to start to recognize where it is that we need to focus in without clamping down on ourselves and forcing an outcome, but to really just nurture this part of us that needs nurturing. Again, with Jupiter vibrating at that 4, our feelings will be telling a lot. The moon is going to move into Libra, so that is 5th house of the sun. And I feel that what creative projects didn't work out in the past, now we will have the agency building with a sense of value and confidence to take action on resurrecting those things for our community, for ourselves, for ourselves in our community. Because yes, we know the world is in a state of chaos, but if every single person started to feel better about who they were authentically and show up in ways that they could, even if that just means like waving at your neighbor as they drive by. They may not wave back at you, but it could give them a feeling of security and safety in the neighborhood. And of course, having the energetic boundaries of like, just because I wave at you doesn't mean that it's time for you to come over to my house and ask me for, a loaf of bread or something. It's like, let's just establish a sense of unity in ways that take us into a sense of security within ourselves, within our connections in the immediate outer world. And then Mars moves to 4 degrees Taurus. So let's read for Venus. Gemini, 27 degrees, much food stored in a cool cave. Taking your greatest attributes, tucking them away for safekeeping and going on without them. Daring yourself to operate without the huge advantage of knowing everything ahead of time and dropping down into the position of moving by primal instincts each moment, naked and following the live track of what arises. Turning yourself into a wide open, vastly impressionable, fluent and flexible frontline participant, but keeping on ice the most astounding array of greater gifts, the ones that are too much for this world now. And being quite inwardly assured that sooner or later you can and will draw upon and tap into the greater frequencies of awareness in order to take the path even further along the spontaneous presence could begin to imagine. So that feels like a plan for the next 6 months. We'll see it come alive in Sagittarius season for sure. But what I am feeling with that is like, I was just watching Deathly Hallows, the Harry Potter series, and Harry, his Patronus, which is Snape, sends him to find the sword that can destroy Voldemort. Now, Snape was undercover, right? He was not telling people, hey, I have to kill Dumbledore. We had an agreement. I saw Harry after he was born. I was in love with his mom. All this stuff was under wraps until the end of the story. Sorry if I'm ruining it for people. But what that leads me to feel is that under this icy exterior, we have the key. We have the philosopher's, Excalibur. We have the sword of truth. Archangel Michael definitely represents that can lead us into a sense of greater connection, greater connectivity, believing in what we know, having relationships in the outer world that permeate any sense of like mysterious air, or having to not be ourselves, feeling undesirable even. So let's see what Mars is going to be activating in us at 4 degrees Taurus. That feels really like we got to get the show on the road, but it's going to be like we will be taken on the road by the show. A man talking in his sleep. A psychic faculty is dreamt into and sustained, leaving everything wide open for passive absorption. So before I even go on, Lori, the dream expert, has some really incredible insights she shared on Leading Out Loud on YouTube. Please watch that after this. She said that dream recall, you have about 90 seconds. And if you move over in your sleep, you'll lose the dream. Of course, last night I dreamt of Snape. I dreamt of practicing magic and someone was upset about it. And then I also had a dream. Me and my childhood close friends were like vibing. We were having so much fun. And what that does is it allows for me to see, okay, I'm now accelerating out of this holding pattern, this sense of, oh, I got to hide myself away. The world's not ready for it. That's delusion, because the world needs it now. Like, that is the Excalibur. That's the Philosopher's Stone. That will take us out of a feeling of not feeling safe in our home or in our neighborhood, of being reactive and fighting with the reflection in the mirror, rather than taking 10 deep breaths and coming into an opening of, okay, well, what do I need? Because if I heal myself, I can heal the world. If I had packed more food, I wouldn't have been so hangry and maybe wouldn't have triggered this person in the ways that I did. But we can only go forward. There is no going back. And also, Lori, the dream expert, she spoke to the skeletal muscular relaxants that the brain produces every like 90 seconds during sleep. So that's where if you have like sleep paralysis, there's nothing wrong. It's harmless. And then she also spoke to having nightmares, as people use lucid dreaming to get out of the nightmare. I can't tell you how many times I've done that, when you're really supposed to ask, who are you? What are you here for? What do I need to know? So if that comes up for you, practice in your dream states. Like, I'm almost ready now to interact with that so that I can get to the bottom of things. Also, Google, the concept for it was it Altman who made Google? Essentially, he got that idea in a dream. Billion-dollar ideas come to us in dreams. So practicing dream recall, cannabis is activating the part of the brain that stores short-term memory. So if you've been using cannabis, switch over to Blue Lotus. Blue Lotus is something that's amazing, and it's actually going to activate your dreams deeper. And I believe it's what the ancient Egyptians were using. I get mine from Ritual Oils and Light Doula on Etsy, because it's something to where it's like, last night I had a drop before bed and my dreams were so much more fun. And it was tapping into this part of my subconscious that wants that in the waking life. So it's guiding me to say, how can I have more fun on a day-to-day basis? Okay, so back to Taurus 4 degrees, where Mars is on Venus Day. Being used by astral forces and learning to adapt, indwelling a place reserved for those who are not ready to activate. But oh, the dreams, the vapors, remembrance, recapitulation, return. Longing for a connection between the worlds, you may be able to take the underworld route through if discipline and attunement is fostered. Creative powers are dammed up and filtered into naive wistfulness. You wait, hope. Whoa, we got Archangel Michael again. Wow, flying out of my hands. So that's pretty cool. We got him twice in this reading, 21 and 10. What you're wanting to manifest and what you think that maybe the world isn't ready for or ready to see from you, it's delusion. And 21 is, let's see if that's in the chart at all. When the sun was at 21 degrees, that was on Monday. So what came up for you on Monday? Did you have any really crazy dreams on Monday? Can you watch the movie Waking Life, which speaks to dreaming and lucid dreaming and essentially the last 8 to 12 minutes of brain activity before we move on to our next cycle of incarnation? If you haven't, there's a book on DMT. I think Joe Rogan interviews the author. Fascinating. I read this in college, and it's something that our brain produces dimethyltryptamine while we're sleeping to give us the color in our dreams, to give us even like black and white dreams. I've had past life regressions where it was like neutral sepia tones. So playing with the subconscious in these ways over today and tomorrow will activate those billion-dollar ideas. It's all just a matter of you saying, okay, maybe I wasn't ready for the world to see these things in me, but the world is now in need of that. The world is now in need of our agency to be authentic. Otherwise, we're going to keep seeing horrifying headlines. We're going to keep hearing about terrible things happening, because if we, the people, decide to come together in loving ourselves, loving our gifts, loving our talents, which Gemini speaks to our talents, passive income, residual income, intellectual property, that's when we can unlock the fears that were maybe even, like magnetizing us, repelling us away from this destiny. And then it would keep us damming up our creative powers rather than just, like Expelliarmus or whatever, you want to bring into life. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It means a lot to me that you guys show up. Thank you to my subscribers for being here. And just know that I'm wishing you so much empowerment and success. Keep your dreams sacred. Find a way to document them, even if it's like getting up in the middle of the night to write them down. Sometimes I've like tried to write in my sleep, and it's like, I write on top of other texts, but it's the thought that counts. It's the effort that counts. And building that muscle is something that Lori, the dream expert, speaks to. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you all soon. Aloha. Thanks, and love. Bye.